The 2020 edition of the World Economic Forum meeting wraps up in Davos, Switzerland today. The South African delegation says an investment boost should not be expected just yet. Eskom still remains the biggest threat to foreign direct investment for the country. DEVAN MURUGAN joins us now live from Davos. DEVAN, so no doubt Eskom topping the list of concerns among those investors who met with the South African delegation.
Yeah, you would have guessed it, Shahan. Good afternoon. Indeed, I mean, the finance minister and the rest of his team giving us a brief feedback today in a presser at Davos. Look, it was a delegation that was watered down compared to previous years, but he says it's not the quantity, it's the quality, and those two concerns big. The one was Eskom and the ability for business to have secured power. The other one was the country's debt, this ballooning debt that's coming up because of money being guzzled out from the coffers by these state-owned enterprises who need bailouts. But the one big positive, as the International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor tells us, is the fact that they were quite overwhelmed with the interest in tourism in this country. And she says that's one big positive factor. Let's take a listen.
South Africa needs to make much more of tourism than it might be doing, because there's huge interest, great admiration for what it offers to tourists, and a lot of business interest peaks following a visit to the country.
But South Africa's economy is, of course, not growing, and the ease of doing business here is not great. So how do they pass that by investors?
Yeah, you're quite right. I mean, no one's going to put up a business when growth levels are so low. But of course, the finance minister again saying, look, they're completely aware of that problem. And that is the reason why, again, he suggested or he pushed and urged for the speeding up of structural reforms, Shahan. And you'll remember just a couple of weeks ago, the finance minister getting in trouble for suggesting that the pace of structural reforms are just too slow. But he's again warned that if that does not come to fruition in terms of the speed in which we change and reform this economy, we could be in for trouble. Here's some examples of what he said could be done correctly.
Meanwhile, we're losing time in terms of migrating to 5G, whatever it is. And others are already talking about China going to 6G. So we have to move. It's a key structural issue.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. DEVAN MURUGAN is in Davos, and I'm sure he's waiting to come back home to sunny South Africa.